Hi, we're Shiny Toy Guns, and you're on Billboard.
The process was a very lengthy one. Part of the title of the album is the amount of years that it took to make it. We had some scraps left over from our whole career that we sort of dove into, but once we became the original band again, we sort of started with a fresh palette of new songs mixed with a little bit of the scraps. For this record, we've always produced our own albums, all three of them, but for the first time we worked with a mixing engineer named Tony Maserati, he's sort of the cornerstone of the New York hip-hop sound in the 90s. He did the Beyonce stuff, and he had since moved to Los Angeles, and we had the opportunity to literally move into his studio and finish our record there. So that brought a very, very dynamic and interesting sort of punch to our stuff, because he's such a bottom end kind of guy on the relationship between the kick and the bass line.
Where to Hide was written near the end of the writing process. I think I personally just kind of felt like we needed one that was a little bit more of a pickup. We've got a lot of driving and epic songs that are and slower ballads, and I felt like we needed another little upbeat, happy love, and I attempted to write one, and the guys liked it, so I continued to tweak on it. I just didn't want the controversy. I wanted love, and doing something drastic to get it.
Waiting Alone was formerly called Do You Really? It's one of the, I'd say it's probably the oldest song total on the record. Like,
we had it even when we were making pilots.
Yeah, it was part of the original batch of songs that we were pulling from in 04, 03 even. But it was, we didn't use it on We Were Pilots because we thought it was a little kind of foo-foo fluffy, and we had plenty of tunes that we were happy with. On a songwriting level, the song, it's just a basic love story, a love battle.
Carrie was one of the songs that they had brought to Sweden when they asked me to return, and it kind of tells the story of what happened to us. We all tweaked on the lyrics together to make it a little bit more personal and more honest when we all go back to LA. So it's probably the story song for our getting back together story.
If I Lost You is it's a love song. It has like a double meaning. Like what it originally meant was I wrote it about a person that I just met, that I was just dead sure that was it. She was it. I was completely off. At the time when I wrote the song, I was in a pretty dark point in my life, and I was on my way out. I didn't know that yet, but I was at the tail end of it. And so it's probably why my brain didn't go, I can't believe I'm so in love with you. It's, I don't know what I'd do if I lost you. Because I was clinging to that very, very, very epic, positive thing that was new in my life as sort of a rope, a buoy, something that's going to grab me and get me back to a place where I needed to be in my life. And actually it did.
Similarly to Waiting Alone, I think Jeremy had this chorus. The track was kind of like, you're just waiting for something. So I had this idea for this Lost Boy Queen, and I didn't need two for this one.
True story.
So we all just tweaked on that vibe, and we came up with this rising sun. And Japan is actually almost like a metaphor. It's more that's my getaway. That's now I'm gonna do this because that's where I'm finding my peace. That's where I'm gonna start over.
Well, the song was based with a melody that a friend of ours had from an old trance song that Jeremy and I love. Lyrically, I was kind of mumbling stuff. It didn't make a lot of sense, so Jeremy came in and helped me make sense with it.
It's more of like a vibe with the whole thing, with the whole production. Everything is a vibe. It makes a feeling. It takes you deep, and it doesn't really matter what he's saying. You can just draw from the emotion in his voice and the melody and the production.
Wait For Me is the heavy one. She's heavy. It's a very, very, very dramatic Romeo and Juliet song. Basically, it's two people that are in love, and it's forbidden love, and they choose, since they're not allowed to be in love, they choose to die in love because they can't live without love.
Don't you know I feel you and I freak out.
Okay, basically the record was done, the album was done, and I realized that there's not one single song that I could actually play on my barbecue playlist. You know, something that you want to hear that's not like, not power chorus, not rip your head off, not, you know, like epic, nothing epic, just something that's kind of nice to listen to, that it feels good, you know.
Sun was a song we wrote. Chad and I wrote it a long time ago for whatever we were going to do next, and then when we put everything together with the band, all we were doing is talking about a record and not showing anybody anything. So we gave away about 80-something thousand copies, and then we just had it, and then we put it down, and we started writing, and the album grew. It actually kind of grew away from the sun, no pun intended, but that's okay. We put it on the record anyway because it was sort of a place marker of where we were in the writing process. It's a good song, but if you listen to the whole record as a whole, you can feel Sun being a little bit left of the common thread.
Well, that one was more of a music journey. That was like I usually have 5, 6, 7 songs that I juggle around with because I get bored of working on the same thing. So I flip-flop, and that was kind of the go-to song for it's 2 in the morning and I'm bored and I want to stack a bunch of melodies on top of each other. So the verse melody was created by reversing crappy melodies that I did.
We cut and pasted those with forward ones and made like a collage.
Yeah, and then so I kept some of the reverse stuff, and then we added lyrics and tried to make sense of it story-wise, and inserted stuff that wasn't reversed.
It was like 7 drafts of
A
lyrics.
lot of lyric drafts. There were drafts that made perfect sense, but it wasn't as cool as the original. It was the most experimental song of the record.
Help me through this.
Well, yeah, okay. I went through a thing that was a personal experience. In a nutshell, it was about being selfish and just wanting to be back in a place. Not that I didn't have a ball, but wanting to be back in a place to where I was not selfish. Take me back to where I was. You know what? That's self-explanatory, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
sometimes you just go down the wrong road and you have to turn around and go back.
Erase this state of mind.